Welcome to CPA Australia's webinar, Public Practice and Professional Standards Update. My name's Eleanor Cassipides and I'll be your chair for today. We have people joining us from all over Australia for today's webinar, so I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the many lands on which we gather and pay respect to elders past and present. We extend that respect to any Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander people here today. It's now my pleasure to introduce our presenters for today's webinar. We have Melissa Reid, Head of Professional Standards, Jodie Smith, Best Practice Program Manager, and Mitchell Thompson, Engagement Manager, and all of them are part of the Professional Standards team here at CPA Australia. I'd also like to acknowledge the presence of CPA Australia Board Director Louise Cox, FCPA, who is also joining us today. Now, we'll be taking questions through the chat box, so you can post directly in there, and we'll address questions at the conclusion and do our best with the time remaining. For any troubleshooting queries, please send a message to the host using the chat box. Before we start though, I'd like to acknowledge the attention currently on the profession as a result of the KPMG matter and the parliamentary hearing last week. We understand the concern this issue has raised across the profession and agree that maintaining public trust and high ethical standards is critical. CPA Australia expects all members to act in accordance with the Code of Ethics for Professional Accountants and all applicable professional standards, and to fulfil their obligations in the public interest. This includes obligations related to client confidentiality and conflicts of interest, as well as compliance with whistleblower obligations. Therefore, it's more than timely that we have our Professional Standards webinar today to talk you through the current landscape and insights from our work. So it's now time for our session to commence, and I'll hand over to Melissa, Jodie and Mitchell.
Thanks, Eleanor, and hello everyone. It's great to have you join us today. As Eleanor said, it's a timely session with professional standards, but it's also an opportunity that we look forward to each year to share with you some of the lessons learnt, some of the insights that we gain from all of the professional standards activities across CPA Australia. So within the professional standards team, we are responsible for conducting the CPD review. We undertake all the regulatory compliance activities required for CPA Australia itself as a professional accounting body, but also that includes the best practice program, which is going to be front and centre today. That's our touch point primarily with practitioners. It's where we conduct practice reviews, respond to member queries, but also try and provide really practical and helpful resources to help you in practice. All of the insights, all of the knowledge we gain from meeting with you in practice, meeting with you at events, forms the strategy to help us to continue to support you in practice. And I hope today that as we move through the agenda, you will be able to get a real feel for that desire to really partner with you and support you to achieve what you set out to achieve in practice. So today we're going to share insights and activities from across the whole spectrum of professional standards, but with a focus on best practice program. And we also want to acknowledge, though, that this is a significant year in terms of the amount of changes and pressures upon practitioners. And so we're going to kick off today with looking at some of those changes, step through some tips and guidance, and then also things that we have to help you in your practice journey, and just resurface some of those and hopefully be able to connect you with them. So as Eleanor has said, the chat box is there for questions. Please feel free to make use of that throughout the session, and I'll hand over to Mitchell to get us started with some of those updates. Thanks, Mitchell.
Thanks, Melissa. Well, yeah, as Melissa said, we do listen to our members, and I think the message we keep hearing from all of our member firms is that it really has been a tough year with a lot of very big changes that a lot of firms are grappling with. So I think we're going into today's session really wanting to acknowledge that, but also really wanting to see how we ourselves can help as part of the best practice program. We've been trying to listen to our members to hear like what it is that are challenging you, and how it is that we can then jump in and help and support you as part of that. So with that acknowledgement, let's talk about the two big changes that are happening right now. And first off, we've got the anti-money laundering. So hopefully you already know this. This is just about to come into effect. It's starting on the 1st of July. If this is new to you, then let me say already that you're probably a little bit late in trying to understand this. This is a big change that all member firms will need to understand and be familiar with, and hopefully perform an assessment over to determine whether it does completely capture you or whether it's something that you just need to keep in the back of your mind. But let me just be clear, if you're not ready yet, please spend some time right now getting ready for it as a firm. I've got here on the slides the link to our page. This page is regularly updated as we get new updates that come through. It has links to all of our articles, our podcasts, our resources and webinars, but also a link to AusTrack. So if you are new to this, or you still haven't gone down this journey yet as a firm, one of the best places to start, once you've gone through some of these introductory topics that we've got here on the website, we're encouraging all our members to go to the AusTrack website. And on that website, you can look for something called the Accounting Firm Starter Kit. We were a little bit involved as they produced this, but this starter kit has a range of free resources that are available to firms. It has templates, recommended wordings, risk assessments, and pro formas that you can grab. And it is a really good one-stop shop for you to understand what your obligations are or may not be as part of this process, but also a really good thing to look at so that you can be informed, so that when you do go, and if you decide you do need to seek expert guidance, by looking at some of those resources, it might help inform your discussion when you go seek that guidance, and hopefully you can save yourself both time and money by already informing yourself from that. We do want to say as well, though, we've been keeping track of it, and AusTrack have been publishing the number of registrations that firms have. So if you are captured by this regime, you are likely to need to enroll or register. And we just wanted to point out that at the moment, the registrations are a touch under 5,000 in Australia. We estimated that would be about 30,000. So we're a little bit concerned that some firms that may be captured haven't had a look yet and haven't registered. Now, registration doesn't close yet. The deadline for that is the 29th, but please don't save it till then. You really do want to get on top of this if you haven't done so already. Now, today, I'm not going to get into the details. If you do need to do that, please go see our resources. But this is just a quick reminder that there are lots of ways that you may be captured because of this. And it's not who you are, it's what you do. And the way they call that is called designated services. And I've got a couple of the examples here, like holding and receiving clients' money, acting for or supporting a person in a legal entity or body corporate, or providing a registered business address. That list isn't exhaustive, but these are some of the more likely ones that will be capturing you. So if you're sitting there thinking, I don't know whether this applies to me or not, please have a look at all of the designated services. We do estimate that most firms, especially tax-based firms, will be captured. But again, some may not, but that's something that you will need to determine. The other big change that's happening right now is payday super that's come through. Again, I'm not going to get into a lot of the details, but I do have a few pointers that we wanted to share today. Even if you're not providing payroll services, it's likely that this regime change will impact you one way or another, and certainly will be a big change for a lot of your business clients. This is a reminder to you that cash flow is going to be really critical, and it's likely that over the next month, a lot of clients may be needing to pay 2 lots of super at once. So please have these conversations with your clients to help them understand and to get ready for it. It's really important to know as well how long contributions may take to get from your bank clearing account to the super fund via your payroll software. Knowing this will be helpful to hopefully avoid any hiccups once this does come along. And the other quick tip that we were asked to share is a reminder to everyone that the Small Business Superannuation Clearinghouse, the SBSCH, that closes on the 30th of June. If you're using that, please jump in soon and download all of your data now. There's a possibility that you won't have access to it after the 30th of June. So please save yourself any heartache there by jumping in quickly and getting that from them. Now is also a really good time to make sure that you are fixing all your super fund data errors. You certainly want to avoid things like late rejections or late contributions, and avoiding the SGCs. That's it for me in terms of the big changes that are happening in this year. I'm just going to hand it over now to Jodie.
Thank you, Mitchell. In addition to the couple of big changes that are affecting practitioners right here, right now, what we're here for today predominantly is to present the results for the 2025 Best Practice Program. I'm the Best Practice Program Manager here at CPA and oversee the assessments that get conducted, or the quality reviews as they are known. So we've just released on our website the Professional Standards Report, and within the Professional Standards Report you will find all the full results of the 2025 Best Practice Program, along with the results of the CPD, Professional Indemnity Insurance, Professional Standards Schemes, and any other regulatory activities that we have undertaken during 2025. So that will give you a really good overview of what the Professional Standards team has achieved for 2025 and what we do in service for the members. So feel free to jump on and check out the full details in the Professional Standards Report. But today I present to you the assessment findings. I've split them based on, if we can just flick to the next slide, please. Thank you, Mitchell. I've split them in terms of what we see as firm level findings and what we see as CPA Australia bylaw findings. You'll see on the firm level findings, we predominantly have findings around terms of engagement. This is the key piece of documentation that we find members haven't updated or don't have all the required disclosures in there for their clients. And the other main areas we see is around systems of quality management manuals and risk management frameworks. Not in place, or if they are in place, they're outdated, they're not monitored and not updated and kept up to the latest standards. So they're the main results that we find at the firm level documentation. We have a couple around code of ethics in relation to predominantly either NOCLA or confidentiality and how you handle confidential information from your clients. And under the bylaw findings, predominantly we have findings around CPD, which we've seen an increase in from the introduction of the requirement to complete a minimum of 2 hours of ethics every year and 10 hours across the triennium. So we have seen an increase in what we find under best practice assessments in CPD related findings. And then the professional standards scheme is the other main area that we see where members haven't got that limited liability statement correctly displayed across all the required documentation of where that needs to present. And then at the from the firm level, we then look at the engagement level files, and what we find across the assessments for audit and assurance, it's fairly similar across all. If we can just jump to the next slide, please, Mitchell. Thank you. It's fairly consistent across all sorts of audit types, what we see. The consistent theme is around insufficient or lacking documentation that we have across the files and the engagement files that we're seeing. There's critical evidence of missing, but it doesn't always explain what was performed or why you have or have not done something in particular. So we find documentation around planning, independence, and execution procedures under audit aren't always being addressed and actioned. So, and documented on those files so that when we come in for review, we can see what was performed and understand the audit process that was put into place or that your firm utilises. So we see consistent themes across that year on year, and 2025 had no additional findings in that space compared to 2024 and even 2023. For the non-assurance activities, so tax, valuation, financial planning, financial reporting, insolvency, we find predominantly for tax and financial reporting disclosures around documentation, around terms of engagement, not having all the correct requirements in there, particularly for tax. And then we're not finding documentation in working papers and in the compilation report and all the requirements being met in the compilation report that speaks to how you prepared and what you've prepared those financial reports for. So they're the main key areas that we see year on year. these results are consistent, where we haven't found in 2025 any major findings that we hadn't found in 2024, with the exception of the ethics in the CPD. We've seen an increase there, and we've also seen an increase with the ASQM1s. Now that we're looking at monitoring of those, now that they've been in place for a few years, we're not seeing members are monitoring those on a regular basis. So in order to try to support our members and to shift some of the assessment findings, we have developed for 2026, and it is now released and available on our website, the annual return or annual checklist for members that goes through all the requirements and prompts of what you need to consider for your firm and for your your quality control, your risk management frameworks, all the key items that you need to keep up to date year on year, your terms of engagement templates, all the changes that you need to consider in your firm. So if we can just jump to the next slide, please, Mitchell. Thank you. And I think Enu has been putting links to some of these resources in the chat for you. So there'll be a link for the annual checklist as well for practitioners. So as I said, it will give you some prompts of what you need to consider each year, what tools and resources that we have that we can help support you in managing your practice. And then the links to those tools and resources as well will be available on those documents. So that's one of our new resources that we've released in 2026 for practitioners. The other big one that we prepared in 2025 and started delivering to members during 2026 was our CPA Australia compliance maturity model. And I'm going to hand back to Mitchell to go through that maturity model with you now.
Thanks, Jodie. And well, just on that, I think maybe it's worth mentioning with the annual compliance checklist. I noticed there was a question in the chat about doing questionnaires before a best practice assessment. We don't have a questionnaire per se, but if you wanted to get ready for a best practice assessment, the best place that you can go is to pick up that annual checklist, because we write that based on what's required of you and what we'll be testing, but it's also informed based on the sort of findings we're getting from our assessments. So if you wanted to get ready in advance, and please do, there's no shame in that, go through that checklist. That will easily tick off a number of items that you may need to fix or improve before an assessment comes up, or even just generally every year, making sure you are keeping on top of everything. That tries to be the best kind of one-stop shop that we can make. Even though there is no such thing as a one-stop shop, you do need to keep informed of all of your requirements, but at least that one gives you a bit of a rigorous checklist to go through. And on that as well, we've developed this compliance maturity model. It's been a tough year and there is a lot of change going on. We've seen a lot of change in public practice for at least a decade. We've tried to design this resource to help our firms. The way it helps is it tries to give you a bit of a bird's eye view or a roadmap to think about all the different activities that you're doing as a firm and try to help you develop your maturity to work towards a particular goal that you might have as a firm. There's lots of different avenues that can take, but hopefully by being able to see it all in place on a one-page diagram here, you can help see where your firm is at the moment, and perhaps diagnose some areas where you're not performing very well or don't quite have that maturity level, but then also see the kind of steps you can take to get towards the next level of maturity. Again, no firm is perfect, and we're all going through a bit of a journey to improve those sorts of compliance areas, but hopefully by using this maturity model, you can help see it. We're getting a lot of good feedback too from members. So members that have used this, we've raised this in best practice assessments at times, where we'd show the members, like, here's your findings, here's what's going on, and here's how you've scored yourself against this model. And it's given us a chance to have that conversation with the firm to see, well, here's some steps that you can take to move your maturity towards a better step. The other thing you'll notice, and let me just zoom in a little bit on the model itself, is we at the moment, we've developed it in conjunction with the AML requirements. One of the insights we had with the new Tranche 2 AML requirements is that for some firms, they're already doing a lot of those things and they just need to make minor tweaks to then be compliant with the AML Tranche 2 regime. Whereas other firms, they needed to make quite a substantial change to some of their processes. So for example, they didn't have a good engagement and due diligence process with new clients. Well, they've got a lot more work to do because they didn't quite have that compliance maturity already. And so we designed this so that you can see, well, what are the new requirements with AML and how you can map that onto your current maturity and then how you want to improve that maturity as well. So anyway, that's the model. Please, if you have a takeaway from today, I'd encourage you to download this and just score yourself. It would only take about 15 minutes and hopefully it gives you a good roadmap for what to do as a firm. That's it for me. Let me hand it back to Jodie.
Thank you, Mitchell. So this is one of, or two of the tools that we've released, as I said, during 2026 to help practitioners. And under the public practice offer, we do offer a number of tools and resources in order to help our members with their compliance requirements, in order to help with all the changes and any regulatory changes that are happening during that particular year. So we try to be as responsive and as quick with our updates as we can be. Sometimes we're like you and getting information just before it is being released. But as a part of our public practice offer, we have those tools and resources, as I said. We also have member support, so through the best practice program, through professional indemnity insurance, through the professional standards scheme, our branding for practitioners and finding a CPA. We also have practice management tools and resources that we have built and maintained for our members to help ensure that they can meet their ongoing compliance requirements. So we've covered off on two of those just previously, and then we've got our risk management tool, our system of quality management tool, our terms of engagement templates, and we're also building a terms of engagement tool coming soon as well. We also have professional development. As you'd be aware, there's a number of online courses that we have on offer. We also have our micro credentials and a number of events and conferences that we run. And then we do our updates through in practice through tax news with the CPA update, and then in the black. So we have a number of different tools and resources that we prepare as a part of the public practice offer. And this year, coming up in September or starting at the end of August, is our public practice forums. If we can just jump to the next slide, please. Thank you. You'll see here the dates are now live for these events. So we'll be running the public practice forums as a roadshow in 2026 across each state, and we'll be presenting the future of public practice and any emerging industry pressures. We'll be doing comprehensive tax updates. We'll be looking at ethics, decision-making, quality, risk and professional judgment, capacity, profitability and scope, and leading and supporting your team in demanding environments. So they will be advertised soon and will be available for you to attend at your nearest capital city. And from there, as I mentioned, we have our in practice. So each month we do articles for, it could be from the best practice team, it could be from someone from policy and advocacy, where we actually present what's happening and what changes and what you need to be across. So make sure that you are registered for that to keep up to date with changes for your practice. And the next big one we have coming out for our tax practitioners is our tax time year-end resources. They will be available on the website at the end of this month, early July. And we'll also be doing a YouTube live on the 2nd of July at 12 p.m. So please join that to get the year-end tax time update as well from the policy and advocacy team. We then have updated our terms of engagement engagement letter templates. We have included the requirements for AML, CTF within those with those updated clauses. We have also made sure that we've met all the changing requirements, some to do with TARSA for the tax as well. And as I mentioned before, we're also building a tool for developing your terms of engagement template for your firm. That tool will be available on this webpage. eNews popped the link in the chat for you to have a look at. Once that tool is live, the link will be available on this particular webpage, and you'll be able to go in and cater your terms of engagement template down to the specific services that your firm provides, or down to the specific services that you want to provide to that particular client under that particular engagement. It'll allow you to download the template, and then you can customize for your client and then send to your client or upload through any software that you use for your terms of engagement. So very excited about that coming soon. And then that will join our suite of our APES tools. So we have the tool for ASQM1. We upgraded that during 2025. It was originally an Excel spreadsheet. We now have upgraded it to be a tool similar to the APES 320 quality management. So making sure if you're only providing non-assurance services, that you comply with the APES 320 requirement, and our tool enables you to build the quality control manual for your practice, customize it to the policies and procedures that you use within your practice. That's one of the key areas we are seeing currently, is that members are not customizing it for the actual processes performed in their practice. So making sure that you do customize, the tool has that flexibility to enable that. If you are providing audit services, we then also have the tool for the ASQM1 to meet your requirements under that system of quality management. Again, it is fully customizable for your firm and for how your firm operates. ASQM1 is something that needs to be assessed regularly. APES 320, your requirements are more annual basis unless you choose to do so sooner. ASQM1 is designed to be more of a dynamic system of quality management. And if you perform any type of audit, whether it's pro bono, whether it's 1 or whether it's 1,000, you need to make sure that you have a system of quality management that complies with the ASQM1. And our tool is there to help and support that. And then we have our risk management framework tool as well, again, in order to meet the APES 325 requirements. And then this year, we've also partnered with each to develop guides for public practitioners around financial abuse. They're designed for practitioners both here in Australia and New Zealand. And it's important to note that they do not place the obligation on practitioners to investigate or prove financial abuse. However, we have that ethical requirement of professional competence and due care. If we see something, if we suspect something, these resources are designed to help you identify financial abuse and help give you some support if you do happen to see financial abuse or suspect financial abuse is occurring in your business clients, in the elder abuse. One of the most unreported areas they suspect is around elder abuse and financial abuse of elders. So as practitioners and as trusted advisors, we have a role in this from an ethical and a moral standpoint, which meets our APES 110 requirements as well. But there's some resources that we've developed in conjunction, as I said, with each, in order to support practitioners for if you come across a client that has suspected financial abuse. And another key area which is on or keen talking point for many practitioners is around AI. AI is readily growing and expanding. It's hard to keep up with, and there's a lot changing in the AI space, as you would all understand. So it's critical as practitioners that we are aware of the software that we're using, where is that AI? Is AI being used by that software provider? And if so, how is it being used? Is it turned on in your firm? Is it not? Is your firm have a policy and good governance around what it is, how you use AI in your practice, what you do and don't allow, which AI providers that you allow your staff to use or used within your firm? And then how do you protect your clients' data, their privacy and their confidentiality? And so AI can become a great tool to support our processes. We can get some great efficiencies and replace a lot of repetitive tasks with it. But we need to be across the accuracy and the judgment. AI will never replace the human in terms of that ethical judgment. And also we need to be accountable for the accuracy of what it's producing. So we need to know the procedures and how to do them ourselves in order to assess whether the AI is actually accurate and producing accurate data that you're using in your firm. The other key areas around the data privacy and confidentiality, and what's really critical with AML-CTF, if your firm is required to comply with AML-CTF, you're also required to meet the Privacy Act. And so that has additional guidelines on what you need to do and how you need to protect your clients' data, their privacy and confidentiality. So Enid's popped in the chat some guidance around AML-CTF and your requirements if you are caught. But so you have those, but with AI, you need to make sure that you have good data governance and good policies and frameworks in place for your firm, for your staff, and that you know how AI is being used in your practice. Because AI, we need to be able to stand by the work that we've performed, and whether it's AI performing it or whether it's a human performing it, we need to remain transparent and accountable. We need to have the conclusions documented, how it works, keep that data auditable, but we also, saying AI produced something does not, AI will never be held accountable for its accuracy and it getting it right. That will always rest with us as the human and the public practitioner. So we have to ensure that we are across what's happening in the AI space, what it's doing, what it's not doing, what it's producing, and that we are comfortable with the outcome and reviewing those results before we lodge client tax returns, finalise audits, or however we are using AI in our practice. So there'll be tools and resources coming out on AI all the time. We will try to be on top of and keep up with what's happening in the industry. So keep abreast of the in-practice articles, the emails that we send out, the tax news, and we also have our YouTube live channel. So keep an eye on that. We'll always be updating and providing information out to our members through those channels. So make sure that you're registered and keep up to date with what we're producing and what we're delivering for member support in those spaces. So that rounds out the tips and guidance. And so I will hand over now to Melissa for the highlights.
Thanks, Jodie, and thanks, Mitchell, too, for all the content you've stepped us through. And I hope it's really evident the breadth of offer we're trying to provide across the needs of practitioners based on the challenges they're facing and based on what we see in practice when we meet with you. This team at CPA Australia meets with members in public practice every single day. And so we get great insights, and we're always keen to hear from you. And AI is just an current example of a journey that we know is going to be a bit fast and furious and come with some unique challenges along the way. So different member experiences and how we can support you is something that we really want to be on top of. So today I wanted to take an opportunity while I had you to share 2 key compliance activities, because I couldn't get away with an opportunity like this without being able to bring up two that have been a standout recently. So CPD compliance. Now, I wanted just to let you know that every year we do a CPD review across 1,000+ members. And public practitioners are normally strong performers within that CPD review. And CPD is also looked at as an element of compliance in your best practice review. But did want to flag that across the board, we've seen some challenges in compliance in the last couple of years. And in particular, we've been transitioning in the new obligations regarding your ethical CPD. So wanted just to take the opportunity, in case you're not across that requirement, to be completing 10 hours of ethics related PD across a triennium, a minimum of 2 in each year, and make sure that you're connected with the CPA Australia offer. It's continually being revised and updated and including free content to help you meet that obligation. And a key aspect of the CPD review, if selected, will be to have evidence of the courses that you've undertaken for your ethics PD. So just wanted to flag that one with you. And another one is professional indemnity insurance claims. So I know all of you will be very familiar with the professional indemnity portal. We do have a slide here that's got on the right-hand side a guidance document on how to use that portals. Inu will be sharing that in the chat today. If you are not familiar with it or have had trouble with it in the past, it is a key aspect of how you can keep us up to date of your professional indemnity insurance claims, which is a requirement of your membership under our bylaws. And it's not just because we're trying to be annoying, it's actually to help inform us into how we can support you. And a really great example of how it worked really well was a couple of years ago, we saw a significant increase in the number of members reporting cybersecurity claims. And as a response to that, we were able to produce significant amount of content and liaise with insurers on what we could be putting in place to help prevent those claims. And we have seen a significant drop off. But we also have obligations in maintaining our professional standards scheme with the Professional Standards Authority to be reporting claims to them. And it's also an important tool for us in negotiating with insurers to help keep professional indemnity insurance prices down across the profession. So just encourage you, when you complete your membership renewal, you do tick a box to say that you have kept that portal up to date. And so this is just a prompt to remind you that that's how you do that and why it is important for us to support you in practice. So as you've seen throughout today's presentation, there's a significant variety of tools and resources and different work that happens across professional standards. And we bring that to life in the annual professional standards report, which is available on our website. And I would encourage you to take a read of it. It includes a lot of links to specific tools, resources, PD, external content that is designed again to support you and to speak to some of the primary needs we see across the profession. And really just wanted to call out some of the highlights from the last 12 months and 2025 in particular. So, and just flag what some of them might mean for you. So within the best practice program, when you're selected for a review, which will occur on a rolling basis, last year, we did increase the number of members we assessed in the 1 year. We did 797 members across 670 firms. And the notification includes a notification from a system called Content Snare. You'll be provided links and access information on that. And we have found a significant improvement for members in terms of how easy that is to use and how quick it is to provide us with the information. So we know the reality is that being selected is probably the last thing you want. When you receive that notification, it's just another thing to put on the to-do list. We are working to make it as painless as possible, provide the information that you should have readily available within your practice. The annual compliance checklist and the maturity model is designed to support you with that on an ongoing basis. Upload them, and we would hope to be able to limit the amount of time you need to spend in undergoing an assessment. Also wanted to flag the work that professional standards and professional conduct across CPA Australia. that got to be showcased at the Parliamentary Joint Committee hearing. So we know there's going to be ongoing scrutiny on the accounting profession, and Eleanor has already mentioned the most recent focus upon that for ethical conduct within the profession. So CPA Australia gladly participates in those parliamentary hearings when we are invited, and it's an excellent opportunity for us to be able to demonstrate the standards with which we hold our members to, and that our members operate with integrity and the highest professional standards. We know that our members are frustrated by instances that cause question over the profession, and it's our privilege to represent you in that. Jodie's already mentioned our tools, but I wanted to flag particularly that we deliberately made enhancements to ASQ1 based on member feedback. So we had produced some Excel documents and received feedback that they were clunky, or parts of them could be missed in their use. So following that feedback, we have developed that tool to look and feel like our APES 320 and our APES 325. So it comes with some of those smart features. You can't bypass inherent risk assessment, which was initially a consistent finding across our assessments when members were getting into risk assessment and were already thinking of all of those controls you have in place and jumping to residual risk. So we hope that tool will improve the experience and support you to be fully compliant if ASQ1 applies to you. We are planning further releases of enhancements to that tool this year to really make it end-to-end in terms of your quality management for audit. We also renewed our professional standards scheme in 2025 for 5 years to 2030. The mobile app was released, which you would have seen a lot of content across CPA more broadly, but wanted to flag in there that the CPD diary is a key aspect of that offer, and it allows you to update and upload your records from your mobile device, and we've seen significant uptake in that. So if you haven't investigated that, I would encourage you to do that. And if you're someone who likes to consume our podcasts or catch up on webinars, that's also a good place to do that, and we are looking at ways to make sure that we can then capture those viewings within the app straight into your diary as well. So another one we have already discussed is ethics and that ethical requirement of your PD. It isn't just about being able to say CPA Australia has a consistent 10 hours per triennium requirement. It is about supporting you in the practical reality of the ethical dilemmas that we face in public practice. So last year, we commenced rolling out at retreats and forums and in other face-to-face opportunities, really just getting our hands on as best as we can with some ethical dilemmas, some things that have happened in real life for practitioners. And if you haven't been to one of those events, I'd encourage you to think about attending forums this year. They're coming up in August and September, and participating in those, and maybe even meeting our team while you're at that event. I also wanted to flag that you might have noticed on your renewal, there was an increase in some of the questions you were asked to provide assurance on that you're meeting your obligations as a public practitioner. And we wanted to do that for two reasons. One was in line with the concept of the annual compliance checklist, giving you some practical prompts at that time when you're renewing your membership, that these are obligations you have as a CPA public practitioner. But also it's definitely helped enhance what we can provide to regulators and the information that we can share with them over what our members tell us and continually affirm their compliance with. So we're not expecting any change to the renewal experience in the short term, but do encourage you to consider those questions on renewal and consider what they mean for you in your practice. So I'd encourage you to take a look at the report online. I'd encourage you to link to the tools and the resources, get familiar with the offer. We frequently hear that it's difficult to find. We know that there's all these tools and resources and great content from CPA to support us, but how do we get our hands on it? We're hoping we're surfacing that more clearly on the website. We're drawing it out in this report and in the annual compliance checklist and the maturity model. And as always, would welcome your feedback if there's something that you think is missing or that you would also like from us. But yeah, more importantly, if you have any questions on how you can apply them within your practice. So with that, I think it's time to look at whether there's any questions we haven't managed to answer in the chat already. And Inu has been incredibly busy giving you links to lots and lots of content. So I'd encourage you to catch up on those as well if you haven't been able to consume them during the session. So with that, I might just invite Mitchell and Jodie and Eleanor to join me again, and we'll see. I think overall the questions look like they're pretty handled. So give you a moment.
One, Melissa.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I just noticed there was one question about the AML risk assessment. There may be a little bit of confusion on what risk assessment they're referring to there, so I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that one. So we have a resource for the APES 325 risk assessment, so that covers the risks that your firm may be facing, and you need to have that as part of a compliant firm. For firms that have to enroll and apply AML as well, you need to do a risk assessment over your anti-money laundering risk, as well as perform a risk assessment over all of your clients that are captured. We don't produce that resource. Austrac already have. They have an excellent resource in the accounting starter kit. So we've already put links there. Inu's already done that. So again, go to Austrac and have a look at their accounting starter kit. There's a fantastic risk assessment pro forma, as well as client risk assessment that you can download there. We didn't produce that resource because we knew Austrac had an excellent one already.
Thanks, Mitchell. I can just see a question regarding ethics CPD being loaded into your diary. Yeah, so this is a great question and a good call out. So at the moment, our diary is led by event type that you attend rather than topic, and we are working to reverse that so that you'd be able to select topic and then event time. When you have attended a CPA Australia event like today, where ethics has been discussed, the CPD team is able to match that automatically in the background to know that ethics content was included, so that if you were selected for a review, that component would already be validated and you wouldn't need to provide evidence for it because it was with CPA Australia. So I hope that helps there. But we know that we need to make that easier to understand in the diary experience. So yeah, thank you. It's a good question. Mitchell, I can see there's a question about templates for Tier 3 audits. So we have the small entities audit manual, which isn't going to land exactly in that sphere, but do you want to talk to what you would talk to our audit members about?
Yes, certainly. So we do have a small entity audit manual, or SEAM, we call it, SEAM. If you go onto our website and search small entity audit manual, you'll be able to get a fantastic template resource that covers small entities only. That has checklists as well as engagement letters and recommended audit reports. Don't forget as well the ASAs, the auditing standards often have audit report wording at the end of them for the relevant entity that you're auditing. The other quick little tip with SEAM is when you go onto our website, if you're not logged in, it will show as a cost, but if you are a member and you then log in, it will then be complimentary for you. So when you go to download that, just please make sure you do that as well. It is a fantastic resource, so I'd encourage you to use that one.
Excellent.
And I'll just add for the terms of engagement, our new tool should help to address the terms of engagement template to cover off those types of audits as well. So that will be coming soon. We also had a question over, does AI audit cover audits on AI algorithms? My understanding is yes, it does, but it is going to depend on your insurer. So make sure you do read your policy. I don't have any statistics on the frequency that they are audited though. So I don't have any data on that, but I understand that they are covering those audits. So and I did see a question, sorry, just on the ethics modules. Apart from what we offer through CPA Australia, what other avenues are there to meet the requirements? I know that the Tax Practitioners Board often run ethical webinars as well, so keep your eye out for those if you're registered for those. I'm not sure if there's any other avenues that Mitchell or Inu might know more. No. Okay. And there is some actually, if you're AICD company directors, they also do some around ethics as well, I have seen. So, yeah.
And AESBA, so the International Standards Board.
So, Eleanor, I think there's a question there maybe for you and me about the future of professional standards and if we got to redesign the entire framework, which I love that thought. 2040 is scarily close, I suppose. It feels a lot closer than it did when it started out. So what would we include that's not getting enough attention from your point of view?
It's a really difficult question, and coming from a policy background as well, and Belinda Zorab's on the line, she's our regulation and standards rep. It comes down to, I think, what does good professional practice look like? What are the standards we want to uphold? And we absolutely stand by the principles that are in the code. And fundamentally, over time, they manifest in different ways. So for me, obviously, AI is the big thing as you start to get agents and decisions being made where humans may not even be in the loop. There's conversations around who is accountable, who needs to take responsibility for things. I think those aspects of where does the line stop and start to test some of the principles, not just in the code, but just you as practitioners running a practice where things don't go quite right, or you're reliant on other experts or agents or whatever it might be to support you in your work. What are the expectations of you? And then how is that manifesting in the professional standards that we apply to you? The other thing as well is probably a shift from, rather than the tick box, I've got my paperwork in place, I've got a documented process. It's about actually living it, bringing it to life every day, and just that it's not that you're doing it because you're being told to do it, but actually because it's the best way to operate. So how do we align professional standards so that it results in best practice and it's a natural business system that actually helps you in your roles? So where are those irritants? Where are there disconnects between what we're asking you to do or what the standards require and what the reality is? But I think just first and foremost, those principles in the code are, I think, eternal. I wouldn't be redesigning those. It's more just how do we bring it to life and how do you live it every day in a way that it's not an irritant, it's actually a benefit. So that's my very high level aspiration. Any thoughts from you, Melissa?
No, I agree. And I think for me, it would be great if there was a way to evidence that compliance with fundamental ethical behavior. So we know that when it goes wrong, it's very visible. We know that we can evidence compliance across a whole raft of our professional ethical obligations, but trying to call out or evidence more the consistent day in, day out ethical conduct of accountants across the profession that are doing their best to serve their clients and to protect the public interest. And ways to make that more evident would be high on my list to think about in terms of the practical realities of professional standards and why they're there in the first place. Excellent. Are we across? I think we have we answered all the questions now?
There's a new one now.
Okay,
Dana asked about modern slavery. So if spotting modern slavery issues as part of an audit, probably the best place to take you there in our ethical standard, APES 110. Auditors are under obligations for NOCLAR. NOCLAR is NOCLAR, which stands for non-compliance with laws and regulations. So as an auditor, if you spot your client doing the wrong thing and potentially breaking laws, as an auditor, you have an obligation to examine that as part of the standards to test breaching laws and regulations, but also potentially reporting them to the relevant bodies. I mean, modern slavery is very complex and it has different obligations for different kinds of entities. So I can't be more specific than that, but certainly APES 110, section 360 will be the place to start. It's a really good part of the code too, because it's quite clear. It steps you through the processes that you need to take, like keeping a record of what you've observed, the kind of things that you may need to speak to and answer, and then where you'll then choose where to go. You still need to make professional judgment, and as an auditor, you need to decide whether it's material or not and whether it's relevant for the audit, but that covers your obligations. That's probably as much as I can cover for a very complex area for you there.
Thanks, Mitchell. And I've just seen the question regarding taking tax-related courses that aren't from CPA and adding them to your diary. Look, as much as we would love you to do all of your 120 hours just with us, we know that that's unlikely to occur for a raft of reasons, whether PD is supplied by your employer, whether you're a member of another body attached to your specializations. The CPD does not need to be CPD provided by us to be relevant to your continuing professional development as a member of CPA Australia. So within the diary, you are able to add PD undertaken from other service providers with the obligation sitting on you as the member to be saying that this is development I've undertaken that is relevant to my membership at CPA Australia. So if you're learning to arrange flowers, I probably don't want to see that in your CPD diary for CPA Australia. But if you are doing tax courses, ethics, leadership, a whole raft of other things, obviously they're highly relevant to career progression. Excellent. I think we've got another one. Just reading this now. Yes, so I guess, Eleanor, this is top of mind for us at the moment, the emerging competencies and subject areas. So the pipeline of accountants attracting people to the profession, how are people starting out in the career going to upskill with potentially AI replacing some of the tasks that we all learnt the fundamentals of our jobs. So that is definitely an area of focus for us across our PD offer, but across the CPA Australia program is looking at what are those skills going to be, but also opening ourselves up to be across more technical areas like you've listed there. ESG and data and AI are just a handful of those examples. So in terms of emerging competencies, I think, for a long time we've talked about soft skills. We definitely we have always kept a focus still on technical skills, and I think that those technical skills will remain just as important, but it's going to be about flexibility of how you can develop them throughout each stage of your career. I don't know if something stands out to you particularly, Eleanor, based on the work you've been doing for the CPA program.
So yes, we are doing the learning evolution at the moment, and these things are forefront of mind. And I think you've listed them really well in terms of where the opportunities are. Accounting at the start, the CPA program, doing it at university, amazing fundamental knowledge that is the sort of foundation of everything that you can do in a career. So our members go everywhere, and for those in public practice, many of you will specialise, let's say, in tax or in audit. When you look at, let's say, what an auditor does, it's really about being able to utilise the tools and technologies for the most efficient way. So data analytics, real-time audit, being able to use the sort of generative AI research tools that are there. So it's really that upskilling that can complement your foundational knowledge. We're also thinking and hearing about a lot of accountants will not, the definition of it is expanding. It changes all the time. So you think about the tax changes coming in, valuations is now on the table. We have people who go into investment banking or advisory who want to do a bit more of the financial modelling and corporate. So our goal is to bring in more micro-credentials, more electives that provide people with the opportunity to really build out their career in a way that suits them. The other thing that, of course, we're hearing is that where people are spending time researching and doing sort of the fundamental grunt work or a lot of compliance checking, that will start to be automated. So like Melissa said, it's really around where's the strategic insight? What does it actually mean for your clients? How can you advise them to make better decisions? And how do you keep that human connection and that trust? That will be absolutely critical as well.
Elle, there's a follow-up question there about thoughts on reduction in junior accountants. I think I'll let you take that.
So we like to think that the death of accounting or the rumours are greatly exaggerated. It's not about a reduction. We will recognise, though, there are reports, we do surveys where things like graduate intakes are now smaller as the firms, particularly the larger ones, are experimenting with technology as a bit of a substitute. The thing really is, though, what is a junior accountant? And what we're looking at is there are many people out there who can come in, they might have a career in IT or they might start off their career somewhere else, but they can come in and build out their knowledge, which is where the program is really critical, and the pathways into the program. So we are also hearing that what they're looking for is graduates with not a pure accounting knowledge base or solely an accounting knowledge base, but they can use data. They can program agents so that they have a more comprehensive knowledge base, which is where sort of electives within a university degree become important. And again, why the program is expanding, and micro-credentials are looking at things like data analytics. So I think the definition of what an accountant is changing, and what the skill base that's required or expected is changing.
Mm. Well, conscious of time, we're 1 minute over. We thank you so much for joining with us. I think there's one question we haven't answered that's also got a little bit of attention in the chat regarding practitioners enrolling in graduate certificates on cybersecurity. I don't know whether we would want to be giving you advice on what level of education you want to undertake in that space, but it is definitely an area that is significantly important to understand, not just know that it's a risk, but to understand what that looks like practically for your team. So Inu's going to pop in the chat the link to our cyber hub, and work your way through those resources, and would definitely encourage you to look at whether there is additional education you might need in that area to minimize that risk for your practice, and particularly with the evolution of AI. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us. I would actually love to be able to see all of your faces. We really want to get to know our members in public practice, and really hope that you feel that our greatest focus is to really partner with you to help you achieve what you set out to do in practice, that compliance with your professional and ethical obligations is something that you live and breathe naturally in the delivery of your services, and that you're well supported by us to do that. So thank you for joining with us. Please reach out to us if there's anything that you would like more on, or have any questions, and we're happy to hear from you at any time. We look forward to meeting you in person sometime soon. Thanks again.